Hello guys, let me introduce myself first. I am Nancy X, Assistant Professor of CSE Department in Wheeltech Multitech, Dr.RANGARAJAN, Dr.SAKUNTHALA Engineering College. Now, you are going to listen to the lecture of UMTS architecture, that is Universal Mobile Telecommunication System under the course of Mobile Computing. I hope that you can be more clear in the concept of UMTS after listening to this video. Now, let's start the session. First, what is UMTS? When comparing with the GSM, it is used to provide a greater level of performance. It is created only to provide a greater level of performance when comparing with GSM. We use GPRS and Edge for carrying data already, but here many elements are required are seen as migration. That is, the data elements are migrated here and there. Because of this, it is considered to be the low cost network architecture comparing with the GSM and GPRS. As I said already, the main aim of introducing the UMTS network is to carry data as well as improve the data performance when comparing with the GSM. Now we can move on to our architecture. Our architecture consists of three elements: main core network, RNS, and the user equipment. That is, the user equipments are connected with the mobile stations. As I said above, our important part in the UMTS architecture is the core network, where all the central processing and management for the system is provided. It is considered to be the equivalent of NSS, that is network switching subsystem in GSM. In GSM we use NSS, instead of that we use core network in the UMTS architecture. Then comes our RNS. RNS is nothing but our radio network subsystem. This RNS works as similar to that of the BSS. BSS is base station subsystem in GSM. What are all the works done by BSS and GSM, the same work is done by RNS in UMTS architecture. It is used to manage the air interface for the entire network. So the core network is similar to that of NSS and RNS is similar to that of BSS. So now in the architecture, various RNSs are connected to the core networks, where the central processing and management is provided to the system. Our final element is the it is also considered to be initial element of UMTS network, that is the user equipment. The user equipment will be connected to each mobile stations. The user equipment is nothing but our mobile devices that are considered to be connected and use the network. So each user equipment is connected to the mobile station, then the RNS is connected to the core network. So each core network is connected with multiple RNS and each RNS is connected to multiple mobile stations. Then the core network is also connected to the public network. The public networks such as PLMN, PSTN, ISDN and PSDN. What is PLMN? It is the public land mobile network. The PSTN is nothing but public switched telephone network. PSDN is public switched data network, and ISDN is integrated services digital network. So this is the overall representation of our UMTS network architecture. Next we move on to the constituents. The constituents explained here, we can go on with brief explanations now. Now the UMTS network can be divided into three main elements, as we know above: the user equipment, radio network subsystem and the core network. So now we know what are all the elements we are using in our UMTS. Now we can see each and every equipment in detail. We already know that what are all the usages of each network constituents in the network architecture. UE is considered to be the user equipment, whereas the RNS is to manage the air interface for entire network. Core network is provided to manage all the central processing and management for the system. So all these three network components is working under the UMTS. These three components are the main constituents of UMTS. Now we can move on with the user equipment in detail. The user equipment, this element forms the final interface with the user, where our mobile devices are connected. This is nothing but our mobile phones. That is, only for identifying in a unique way from others we say it as a user equipment and not as mobile. It is comprised of various elements such as RF circuitry, processing, antenna, battery, etc. But here the user equipment is nothing but our mobile phones, our day-to-day usage mobile phones. Next we move on to our radio network subsystem. The radio network subsystem, each radio network subsystem is comprised of two main components. One is radio network controller and the other is node B. The radio network controller, the working of RNC is to control all the node Bs that is connected to it. It undertakes the resource management and mobility management, but not all. It also points based on which process encryption or decryption of data is protected from the eavesdropper. Eavesdropper is nothing but a hacker or an intruder. Encryption is and decryption is done for our data. We know that for making the data protected, we will encrypt or decrypt by means of some algorithms. Here we use some management techniques in RNC to protect the data. Next comes our node B. Node B is nothing but our base station transceiver. Base station transceiver is nothing but our mobile phones where we get the calls. So now we can move on to our architecture of RNS. This is the architecture of RNS, where we can figure out the RNS is comprised of two components, RNC and multiple node Bs. All the nodes are named as node Bs, only to specify that it is the base transceiver. Now the work of RNC is to control all the node Bs that is connected to it. Now this is our architecture, where the multiple mobile stations are connected to the node B and multiple node Bs are connected to the RNC, and RNC is connected to their neighboring RNCs. This is one RNS where the RNC is connected to the neighboring RNCs and also to the core network. So each RNC is connected to the core network. We know that in our UMTS architecture, each RNS will be connected to the core network. So likewise here each RNS is connected. This is one RNS depicting your architecture. Then when considering our core network in detail, core network is when considering it can be split into two different areas. One is circuit switched elements and the other is packet switched elements. In circuit switched elements, it is similar to that of GSM, where data is carried out in a circuit switched manner, that is permanent channel for the duration of a call. In packet switched elements, to carry packet data, network entities are designed through which the data is routed according to the destination. Now we can move on to the UMTS core network architecture. This is the UMTS core network architecture, where we find the various elements of circuit switched elements as well as the packet switched elements along with some shared elements. Here the circuit switch elements are our MSC and GMSC. MSC is nothing but our mobile switching center, whereas GMSC is nothing but our gateway for the mobile switching center. Here the packet switched elements are the SGSN and GGSN. The SGSN is nothing but our serving GPRS support node, and GGSN is nothing but our gateway for GPRS support node. These three elements, that is our HLR, EIR and AUC, are the shared elements. The elements that shares their data along with the packet switched elements and circuit switched elements. So this is the core network, which will be connected to the public network as we said above, as well as it is also connected to the various RNS, which is radio network subsystem. When we move on with the circuit switched elements in detail, in circuit switched elements it is of two entities. One is mobile switching center and the other is gateway mobile switching center. We know that the mobile switching center is to manage the circuit switched calls, what are all the calls coming into the mobile stations, and the gateway is to connect the interface, to act as an interface to the external networks. Next is our packet switched elements. The packet switched elements is of two entities. One is serving GPRS support node, other one is gateway GPRS support node. We know that the serving GPRS support node is to provide the GPRS facility to the user by means of mobility management, session management, interaction with the other areas of network, billing. All these functions are provided by the SGSN, whereas a gateway GPRS support node is used to provide a gateway to interface with the external networks. So we know that it is used for interworking between the UMTS packet switched network as well as with the external packet switched networks. Next we move on to the shared elements. The shared elements are HLR, EIR and AUC. We know that HLR is home location register, EIR is equipment identity register, authentication center is AUC. HLR, First, HLR contains all the administrative information about each subscriber along with their last known location. So, in our UMTS network, this HLR relevance to the RNC and node B, that is our RNS. Now, equipment identity register. The equipment identity register is to decide whether the user equipment may be allowed to the network. This is used for specifying that the user is an authorized person, the equipment is identified by the mobile stations and so on. Then last is the authentication center. This is a protected database that contains a secret key also contained in the user SIM card. This is a process of authenticating a user. So, this is the overall explanation given regarding our UMTS architecture. Hope you all got a clear explanation about the UMTS architecture. Thank you for your time.